Hello everyone, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is a Q&A episode, so let's actually get started, shall we? So Nicholas, your first question, your questions. Your first one, have you heard of the two new Edmontosaurus mummies with skin and hooves has been discovered? Yes, I have. This was big news that came into the field of paleontology, especially for dinosaur paleontology. There were two juvenile Edmontosaurus specimens that were found that had fossilized skin and also like some fossilized keratin as well. And so they actually have a great idea of a possibility of what Edmontosaurus fully looked like. So think of all these dinosaur mummies, they actually have preserved skin, even some other soft tissues that have been found with these. So these are not true mummies that we think of say in ancient Egypt or in any other places, but these are actually just fossilized animals. These are fossilized animals that have very well preserved soft tissues. And so, but we can't get DNA out of them because DNA tends to decompose fairly quickly. And so you would have to get DNA that is from an animal that died less than 1 million years ago. And so that's pretty much how it goes. And so anyway, they actually have found that with these two, in one of these juvenile specimens, is that Edmontosaurus has got this ridge going on its back, almost like a tall spine ridge on its back, and it goes all the way. And it goes from the neck all the way over to the base of the tail. And of course, there were these scoot structures on this ridge, and then of course on the hind leg of one of these specimens, it has preserved keratin. It showcases that these dinosaurs had hooves on its feet, and so these were hoof-like structures that were on its feet. And we know that they did have a hoof-like structure on the front limbs. So now we know that Edmontosaurus had hoof-like toes on its hind legs. And so that showcases that these animals did have hooves. And so Edmontosaurus is probably the only dinosaur that we know of to actually have a great idea of what it looked like. Now, there are some other dinosaurs that we do have an idea of what they look like based on, the colors of the feathers. But that's just basically more about the color of the feathers. So that's what we do know about certain types of dinosaurs like that. But in terms of large dinosaurs, we actually do know a lot more about Edmontosaurus now. And since there's a lot of specimens of Edmontosaurus, and so those are really, really good finds, and I think that's actually really, really cool. And then your second question, did Dacentrurus live in the early Cretaceous or late, and were there other stegosaurs in the Cretaceous? Well, Dacentrurus lived in the late Jurassic into the early Cretaceous, and so the date of it in terms of date range is 154 to 140 million years ago. So it was in the late Jurassic period and in the early Cretaceous, but it did not survive after that. So it did not survive after 140 million years. And so it was both late Jurassic and early Cretaceous. Whereas other stegosaurs, it's a possibility that they could actually have been found earlier in the early Jurassic. They've been around earlier in the Jurassic period, early Jurassic, getting all the way over to the late Cretaceous. But that's still a guess, even though that there are some fossil tracks that actually suggest that some stegosaurs were around. But that's to be determined. So far, what we know of stegosaurs is that they live from the middle Jurassic all the way over towards the early parts of the late Cretaceous. And so they actually did get towards so most stegosaurs lived from 160 to, or let's say 170 to 160 to 170 to 160 to 100.5 million years ago. So that's where their range has been. But stegosaurs were in decline when they actually got into the Cretaceous. Mainly it's because they were getting outcompeted by other types of herbivorous dinosaurs. Mainly like some more of the armored dinosaurs like the nodosaurs, even like the iguanodontids were actually around there too. Even some of the proto-hadrosaurs or hadrosauromorphs, those types of dinosaurs were around too. And of course the sauropods were around as well, but sauropods were not too much of competition for stegosaurs that much because sauropods had their type of niche because they were the largest land animals. But with stegosaurs, that is one thing that we do know of is that they did not survive very long into the Cretaceous. And so that's why many stegosaurs did not go very far in the Cretaceous. All right, Benjamin, your questions. Which one of these early theropods is the closest one to Liliensternus, Coelophysis or Dilophosaurus? It's Coelophysis. It's Coelophysis because the skeletal structure is very similar to Coelophysis, and it's part of that type of group, the Coelophysidae. It is part of the Coelophysidae group. It is not close towards Dilophosaurus. It is getting there, but it's not really. So Liliensternus is a Coelophysidae. What was the armor of Carnotaurus used for? Carnotaurus really didn't have armor. They didn't really have armor. They don't have like bony scutes all over their body. That's just the public perception of Carnotaurus right now. Is that Carnotaurus has been purposely been given these like bony scutes on its back and even on the neck. Because they thought like that's what the scales actually suggest. Well, clearly when we actually look at the skin impressions of Carnotaurus, is that they did not really have bony scutes on their body. It's just basically large types of scales. They don't really have bony armor. What is mainly happening here is that Carnotaurus mainly had thick skin. They probably did have thick skin. It's just that not in the way of like say bony armor, like say what we see on Ceratosaurus, and that sort of thing. So we don't see that in Carnotaurus, and we don't see it on Abelisaurs, on other Abelisaurs either, because Abelisaurs most of the time have been pretty bare on like the back area, like on the back of right on their backs. So we don't see any bony scutes on them. What is going on here is that they probably have thicker skin. That's probably what's going on here. They don't have bony scutes. There's no armor on Carnotaurus. So that's just the art form that the media actually did use. Mainly like saying Disney's Dinosaur, even Jurassic World. Jurassic World did put bony scutes on the Carnotaurus, which Carnotaurus never did have that. They never had that. Why are the bony plates of Wuerhosaurus shorter compared to Stegosaurus? To other Stegosaurs? It's just probably like different ways of display. In like the plates on the back of a Stegosaurus are completely different. Like we know the iconic ones of Stegosaurus. There's like Miragaia, which had a little bit more pointy plates, and Kentrosaurus is kind of the same way, and then Wuerhosaurus had like somewhat long and short plates, and so they didn't really have those really big ones, and so it's probably just a way of display. It's not really like, say, if it was for thermal regulation type of thing. Maybe it could be, but it's not. It's to be determined. But I think mostly the Stegosaur plates are just for display, not really anything else for, like, say, armor or even like heating or cooling down the animal, because that would take a good amount of blood vessels to actually go there. Even though there are blood vessel impressions on the plates of Stegosaurs, it's just that they probably did not use that for, like, say, thermal regulation. They probably used it for display. And your last question, why is Ceratosaurus very rare in Europe? It's probably because Ceratosaurs were more likely going in decline or going extinct in Europe, whereas, like, say, the Allosaurs and Torvosaurus, the Megalosaurs, were dominant. And so Ceratosaurus fossils have been found in Portugal. It's just that they're not as abundant compared to, like, say, Allosaurus europus and the Torvosaurus that is actually found there as well. And so Ceratosaurus in Europe was more likely the case in terms of the fact it got outcompeted, and it was probably a niche predator. It was mainly going after small prey, much smaller prey compared to, like, say, Allosaurus europus, and then, of course, Torvosaurus. Torvosaurus was mainly the top predator in Europe at that time and in the Jurassic period. Alex, your questions. Do you think that Ceratosaurus was able to take down smaller species of sauropods that lived in the Morsa Formation? Oh, absolutely. It's just that most of the sauropods that we do have in the Morsa Formation tend to be on the medium to large size. So probably the juveniles of those sauropods, definitely they could take those down. But they have to be very careful, though, too, because since that Ceratosaurus is not, like, built for, close combat. It's mainly designed to, like, take a bite and then get away, and then circle around, take a bite, and get away. So that's mainly what it's going to do with, say, the juvenile sauropods. But with, like, smaller adult species of sauropods that are in the Morsa Formation, it's a possibility. It's just that, like, do you really want to take down a fully healthy adult? Like, if you're a Ceratosaurus that is about as big as that sauropod, absolutely not. Like, you don't want to take down something that is a fully healthy adult, because that's why predators tend to avoid the healthy adults. And if they do come in conflict with the healthy adults, they want to make sure they don't get injured. So most of the time they tend to back away, but when they do get injured, that's where things go bad for that predator. And so mainly like a tail whip, or otherwise just getting like a headbutt or something like that, or get pushed. That will probably do some damage to that Ceratosaurus. And so but more likely they're going after the juveniles. That's what they're more likely going after. And then your last question. In Chased by Dinosaurs episode Land of Giants, there were some iguanodonts that lived with Giganotosaurus and Argentinosaurus. Do you think that iguanodonts lived in the same formations that had Mapusaurus and Giganotosaurus? So I did some research on this. And so the formations that Mapusaurus and Giganotosaurus have been found in, they don't show anything in terms of iguanodonts that were living there. They actually had like hadrosaurid forms that were probably living around them, but it's still to be determined. It's possible. It is possible that they did have iguanodonts that were living around that time. It's just that we don't have the fossil evidence to actually showcase that. The iguanodonts that were probably around in South America, those were more likely in the late Cretaceous, much later Cretaceous than during the time of Mapusaurus and Giganotosaurus. And so it's more likely that they were around. It's just that they probably we just don't have the fossil evidence for them. So there possibly could be an iguanodontid that will be found in either of those formations, but we'll see. There's got to be more exploration in those formations that Mapusaurus and Giganotosaurus have been found in. That's all the questions I got for you today. Next week will be an extra episode, and that will be my review of the Dinosaur Sanctuary manga. And so I'll read all 7 volumes, even though that volume 8 will be coming out next year in the summer. And so I'll be looking forward to that one when that does come out. But I'm going to binge read all 7 volumes of the manga, and I will give you my review of the manga. And just to keep in mind, guys, I will probably only be showing a little bit of the covers of these mangas. I can't show you everything in the manga because sometimes the the publishers of the manga can actually put a copyright strike on the video. And so I'll just show you a little bit of it. I'll just show the cover really quick, and then basically just kind of talk about the volume of the mangas. Each volume of the manga, and how good is the story, how good is the art, and all that sorts of stuff. And so, and I do read manga, because I do read manga, but I got mostly the Dinosaur Sanctuary manga, and I got Dragon Ball too. So that's what I actually have for mangas. And so those would actually be the ones that I actually read the most. But once Volume 8 does come out, looking forward to that. But anyway, Dinosaur Sanctuary manga review will actually be out next week, and so stay tuned for that. But if you got any more questions about dinosaurs and other prehistoric life, you can still feel free to send me some questions via email at dinochris71@gmail.com. So it's dinochris71@gmail.com. That's my email address. You can send me questions there. You can also send me questions via Facebook at Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, yes, you post your questions in the comment section. Please put them in the comment section. Don't put them on Messenger. Messengers are private conversations only. So please put your questions in the comment section on any Facebook post. And also for YouTubers out there, like the video, subscribe to the channel according to my analytics. So if you guys are checking out my channel, not subscribed yet, so please feel free to hit the subscribe button. And also hit the like button, because that's how the YouTube algorithm works. The more likes the video gets, the more likely the video gets spread out to people that are interested in dinosaurs, prehistoric life, paleontology, and geology in general. So please feel free to do so. And also share the video, share the channel to anybody that is interested in dinosaurs, prehistoric life, paleontology, and geology in general. So please feel free to do so. And also hit that notification bell so that you can get weekly notifications of every video that comes out. And also, if you go on my channel, you can hit the posts tab. You'll see I do posts of, like, say, the latest news in paleontology, mainly on dinosaurs. You also get some updates on videos that will be coming out, and even polls. It polls every 3 days on the channel, so make sure you check out the polls and interact with each other. And it's awesome that you guys are interacting, so keep it up. And also, so it's awesome. So check out all the posts on the post tab in the channel. And for you YouTubers out there, leave your questions in the comment section, because I do read them all. I'll leave you guys to send me questions via email, Facebook, and YouTube. You guys are awesome. You can be raising some great questions for these Q&A episodes. It means a lot. And keep up the great work. And also make sure you keep your questions short and to the point. You can also follow me on Instagram at dino.chris.pf. I'll post pretty cool stuff on there. You can also follow me on Threads. Same thing, at dino.chris.pf. I'll post pretty cool stuff on there as well. Also, take care of the people around you. Also, for younger people out there, to make a list, your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you could have. A good education. It's very important to have a good education. So with a good education, get a good job in the future. That's it for now, and I'll see you guys next time.